So this one is ready.
Okay.
So this one is revving up.
So we are live here at the Open Space for the Arts in Woodbridge. We are at the Stonebridge Shopping Center, and we are in one of the back rooms, the open space room at the Open Space Arts Center. This is a new facility, relatively new, and we want to invite you to come out. I met some wonderful gentlemen the other day, and I said, I have to interview them, and let's do it at the Arts Center. I know that there's many poets, singers, writers, comedians, artists out there, and I want you to know that there is a space here that is welcoming your creativity. So this is our first live here at the Stonebridge or Woodbridge Open Space for the Arts, and we want to invite you to come. So I am sitting here right now. I am your host on Horizons of Wellness Wisdom Wednesday, and I am here with Christopher Linton and Isaiah Lucky. I was like, wow, what a cool day. You know what? I just had a deja vu moment. When I said your names and I turned and looked at you, I saw this already. I was already here in this class. I promise you. It was a so deja vu moment. That really freaks me out. But you know what it means? It means that I am doing what I'm called to do. I am in my purpose. I am where I'm supposed to be. And that's a great feeling. A lot of people can't say that. And that's one of the things that drew me to you guys the other day when I was here.
Wait, that's you and I just lived in?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, funny thing is, you were supposed to be there before. Like, we were supposed to go at 5:30. And we ended up moving that an hour back. So, and I saw on your live earlier, you were supposed to go at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how that aligned.
Yes, so it aligned because that was the will of God at that moment for us to meet. And I love those instances, those happenings, because I don't believe my life is by happenstance. I believe that, there's purpose in everything, and whatever's going on in life, God is going to work it all together for my good, right? Because I'm called. And I'm chosen, and as well as you are, right? So I said that on the live that I did yesterday, like I was supposed to be coming here around 4:30,
right? Yeah.
And then that didn't work out, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to stress about it. I'm going to go after. Yeah. And it was perfect. On my way out, I meet you two guys. So I introduced them by name, but I want to tell you a little bit about them. I'm going to read a little bit of his bio because I just loved it so much. And then I'm going to let each of them tell you who they are. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment. And Sir Herb Williams is going to read the comments for us so that we can answer the questions. So not yet, relax, no worries. Okay, so we're live here, we're live. Okay, so hang out with us. We're going to have a good time. This is Christopher Linton, 21-year-old entrepreneur, right? He is enrolled in Virginia Commonwealth University. Shout out to VCU. And he is one of the founders of Verj. And then there's Isaiah here, last name Lucky. I'm like, that's so cool. He is 19 years old, and he is a college student and entrepreneur at the Virginia Wesleyan University. So shout out to these guys, 19 and 21 years old. They know their purpose. They're very passionate about their purpose. And one of the things that really drew me is the way you guys are able to articulate your purpose. You didn't stutter, you didn't and none of that. You knew head on what exactly you wanted to do, how you were going to do it, and what was next. So I'm going to let each of you tell a little bit about yourselves, how you is, and then I want to know, how did y'all meet? How did this dynamic duo?
Chris. Yeah, so like she said, my name is Christopher Linton, 21. I go to VCU, so Virginia Commonwealth University. A little bit about myself. I have a very strong background in athletics. I think that caters a lot towards business as well, and how I'm able to kind of connect those two together. We actually grew up together, going to the same middle and high school, so Woodbridge High School, and we did track. So we have a very strong background. Yeah, just known each other for a long time. But yeah, I mean, I started getting into business after high school, so around age 18.
Okay. What are the sports you like?
I played basketball, I played soccer, track and cross country.
What you love?
The most?
Yeah,
Definitely track.
track.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. So let's jump into this freak accident that you had that kind of changed the trajectory of your life.
Yeah. So this goes back into just being an athletic. So in ninth grade, I was already doing track in middle school. So I was continuing this passion I had for it. And in ninth grade, I got hurt high jump. So how did that happen? So this is a really funny story. My coach asked me.
I'm glad you think it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally, it shouldn't have happened, but it did. I believe it happened for a reason now. Not at the time. So my coach asked me to do high jump. Right? I got hurt in 8th grade doing high jump. Out for the whole season.
Oh, wow.
Until like the very last meet. I believe it was the regional meet.
Okay.
Participated in that and did pretty well. But I wasn't supposed to be high jumping or doing any type of field events. Like at all in high school. My mom was like, do not do this. And my coach was like, yo, if you just try it like a couple times, like 3 times. I was like, okay, well, I'll try it. On the 3rd time, that's actually when I broke my leg. So I was out of all athletics for about a year and a half. I was bedridden for about a month and a half. And I had rehabilitation, physical therapy for about 2.5 years. And just that experience, I mean, I went through some depressive episodes because of that. I was like 15 years old and just not being able to be at school and around people and like that classroom environment really affected me negatively.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, and you know, the ability to look at a hardship and turn it around and flip it and be like, hey, well, this happened, but I know I can come back from it, and it was my dream to always run. Like, that was the dream that I had for like a long time. I originally wanted to run in college, didn't know, but that was the trajectory I was on. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I got back in it. So there are a whole bunch of upsets, pushbacks that I had along the way, but I was finally able to do it. Come back. My doctor even said I wasn't even supposed to run competitive anymore. But I didn't care. My mom never told me that. I came back and I ended up making it to the state meet my senior year.
And record board.
And record board, yeah. So that's really where, you know, that mindset of, you know, when something happens that's not the best, or you wouldn't see it as the best, you can use it as a benefit.
Yeah, I love that. I had so many thoughts as you was talking. One, as a mom.
Yeah.
So she was probably pissed at you. He wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
So as the mom side, I'm like, yeah, I know she was mad. And then I'm thinking, again, as a mom, all of the effects that happened that she had to play a part in,
Yes.
you know, because of you, all the trips to the doctor and insurance and money and,
Yeah.
you know, all that stuff, serving you in your, you know, in your room, in your bed or whatever, just all of those things from the mind side. My mind went there as a mom. And then also, you know, feeling for you as a mom, and it's like, look what has happened to my son, you know, type of thing. And the other thing that I think this will benefit our viewers most is you being clear in what happened. This was a whole process. Something physically happened to your body, but it began to have a mental, emotional effect as well. Because now, because of the accident, right, there were lots of prohibitions, things that you couldn't do, and just being around people, that's very important, right? And then being, what, 9th grade, so you were just a freshman in high school, and you weren't even able to come back until halfway through sophomore year.
Pretty much.
That's huge. So I can imagine some of the thoughts, you know, maybe even tears, maybe even bad dreams and things like that you may have went through during that time. What was the turning point of turning this negative into a positive? Yeah.
That turning point was the fact that my coach, junior year, had got us all together in a room at a certain practice. She was like, hey, everybody, write down your goals, write down what you're thinking, write down where you're gonna go and how you can get there. So we all did that, and I just told her, my goals. I wanted to go to nationals. I wanted to be on the record board. I wanted to run in college. Those were big goals for me, and I was very far away from that at the time. Very far away from that, and I would skip practice sometimes just because I was embarrassed of how slow I was. Because I was a really fast runner before the accident, and it set me back. Even 2 years down the line, I wasn't performing at the level that I was in 8th grade. So that's really detrimental to your mindset.
Yeah.
And so I told her that, and she was like, okay, I'm going to help you. And so that's exactly what she did. And that's kind of when my mindset started turning around, and I got more hope. She was putting me in, faster groups. So so I had to hang on. I didn't have a choice. So that's really what started that change.
So realizing what your goals were and then beginning to look to them. And then you had a coach that said, hey, I'll help you, and began to sow or pour into you that positivity and let you know that you can get through this, even if it's going to take you a while.
Exactly.
I hope you don't take that lightly. Like, that's huge, especially as a young person, as a child even, right? Because we have to go through that as adults as well. And a lot of times that's where adults get stuck. And it may not be a necessary physical thing that has happened to them, but just the upsets of life, the curveballs of life, and then they find it hard to keep going, and they put their dreams to the side, and they put their goals to the side. Or because of X, Y, Z, well, now I can't do this. Or because I had a child early, I can't do this. Or because my mom passed, I can't do this. And so no matter what the upset, what the challenge, what the curveball is, there is a way, or there's a turning point that someone has to come to in order to say, I'm going to use this to fuel me to do what I know I'm called to do, instead of using this to set me back and to keep me back from what I know that I want to do. And so I definitely applaud you for that, making that choice and that decision as such a young person. And I keep making reference to that because it matters, because it's huge. I'm a life coach, and I talk to a lot of people, a lot of women mostly, but men too, that are stuck or that are having different issues, and they're not sure of their purpose. When you pretty much were sure of your purpose, both of you, at such a young age, and even though you had this major catastrophe, it took you some time, you were down a little bit, but you bounced back. And not only did you bounce back, which far surpassed where anyone said that you were going to be. So you didn't even let the naysayers say, oh no, you'll never walk again. Oh no, you'll never compete again. As I was reading your bio even, and we spoke before, I felt like that was fuel to the fire later on. Like, when you said I can't do it, watch me. Is that how you felt at some point?
Exactly.
Totally. Okay. All right. Let's give Isaiah a chance to jump in. And I just want to make notes for the viewers that are watching. Another reason, like, my mommy senses just kicked in. So I'm like coach mom right now. So Isaiah, my son's name is Isaiah. And then Christopher here. My nephew's name is Christopher. So when I met them, I was like, oh, wow. That is just so cool. So of course I never can forget them. But as we began to talk more, I said, you guys have got to share this. I have some people that I want you to talk to, because this is important. This is big. Okay, so let's hear from you, Isaiah. Tell us who you are and what you're about.
Okay, so I'm just going to start for where we met, because it's actually, we have like a very intertwining type of history.
Okay.
So middle school is when I first met Chris. It was during track. It was a track practice. We were both teammates, and I saw him, and I would see him just at practice, but just like standing around. Now, obviously, it was because of his injuries, but like something about it just like stood out to me. And I would always just see him there, but I would never hear him really speak for the most part. I wouldn't see anyone really pay him any mind. I was just like, who is this? So I would see him sometimes in the hallways, and maybe just get like a head nod or something like that. And he didn't really talk that much in middle school. But as we got into high school, it came back, and I saw what he went through with the injury, and I saw how everyone else was acting. towards it. You know, we had problems, like people were making fun of on the team.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that should not have happened, and I found myself somewhat isolated in high school just because a lot of people start to go into their own little cliques and niches and all that everything. And that was something that in middle school I was very very. And when I found myself separated from all that, it was like a crisis. And I had a lot of people leaving my life, and I was like, all right, like, why is this happening? I value those connections like a lot for more or less the wrong reasons. I was in it. Those connections didn't need to be there in the first place. That was God removing me from my life and my purpose. And I needed to go through that. So I was having a lot of trouble with that. So I never really connected with a lot of people in my class at that point. Another thing was I went into high school the same year that Colgan actually got made. So a lot of people I knew in middle school that were my very good friends, they were going to other schools. So it's like I was kind of put into this new situation. It's like, okay, I don't know anybody. I'm 14 because I started school young, so I was 14, just turning 14 in high school. Yes, exactly. And it was a crisis for me. So sophomore year, we get into that in track. We actually had like all of our seniors leave, like all of them. And these were people I was friends with. Like a lot of them, I thought that they were, you know, my brothers, like my family. That's all about my family because I didn't have that connection from school itself. So I was getting most of my connections from the team, and that's where I saw my family, my second family. And all of them left. Like they just left me. Just left me. And what ended up happening was he came back. I think he came back around the end of my sophomore year. Yeah, he came back around the end of my sophomore year, and this was after everyone had already left. We literally had 15 people on the team. Wow. And the coaches were very mad about it. Like it was just a terrible atmosphere even at practice. I had upperclassmen constantly complaining with me. I'm a sophomore, and just having a negative attitude about everything. And that was affecting me outside of track because this is my second family. And it got to a point where they all just kept leaving, and then practices would be harder and harder and harder. We would have like 3 to 4 workouts a week, and they would be hard workouts. And our coaches, you know, our coach, I love her, and she was very hard on us. It was good, and we always knew it was like, all right, this is beneficial. I need this. But she was extremely hard on us, and a lot of people couldn't take that. And we were running all these workouts. It was just like, all right, this vibe is not good. I almost quit, but we had a teammate who was like myself. In my grade, he was very similar to myself, and then Chris as well. And that was when we really connected because we formed this like tight group on the team, and it was just us. We were like, all right, if no one else is going to be serious and grind about this, then we're going to do it. And we just put our heads down and we just practiced like we ran hard every single day. We accepted it. And we ended up winning the conference championships that year with 15 people.
Wow.
And that was just, when I saw that, I was just like, you know what? There's nothing that I can't do if I really just put my mind to it. And I was already, track alone was something that strengthened my mental to such a great degree. Because I wouldn't have had that strength and mental fortitude without it. I really wouldn't have. It built me up so much. So yeah, that was when we really started, you know, connecting with one another. And over that summer, we literally worked together. That we were on calls every single day for hours talking about, okay, how can we fix this team? How can we lead this team into a better place so that this doesn't happen for anyone else? So this is the beginning of this type of relationship and this type of, you know, dynamic between us where it's like, all right, how can we fix? How can we make this better for other people?
And that's what I love about you guys because that's not a normal mindset of a young person.
Yeah.
Teenagers tend to be self-centered, they tend to be selfish, they tend to be more in their own world. So something is very different about the both of you And that was not your mindset. You went through something traumatic, you went through something difficult and hard, you didn't like it, didn't feel good. And then you thought about, well, let's bind together and how can we come together and fix this problem? Herb, would you agree? Like, that's not normal young people mindset. You know, they're like, well, I'm just gonna go over here where my friends are, or, you know, whatever.
Right.
And so you guys had that experience in high school in track, but now you're doing it again in Verj. So we're gonna talk about that.
Yes.
We'll find out about Verj in a minute. I want you to finish them. Oh, this is one thing. I was like, I gotta grab my pen because there were so many things in what you said. You talked about acceptance.
Right.
That's important. And you talked about loss. And so your loss was friends, not necessarily that they passed, but they were no longer with you in the day-to-day, the team, and the school, and everything. So you suffered a loss. And so many people suffer loss in life, whether loss of a loved one, a friend, loss of a job, loss of a pet, an animal, whatever. Loss is loss, honestly. And some people may get mad at me because I say that, but loss is loss. Like psychologically, physiologically, it's still loss. Whether it was your cat or your mom or your husband or even a divorce, it's a loss. Your normal, what was normal as your day-to-day life and the things that you did day in and day out are no longer happening that way for whatever reason. That's a loss. And then there are stages of loss that we go through. And one of the final stages of that is acceptance.
Yes.
So for you to say that you experienced that and you said, okay, you know, with everything that was going on, okay, let me just accept, like, this is how it is. Even the coach, she's hard on me, I don't like it, but I'm probably gonna need this later. Let me just accept that too. And I think that's really good, like, it's really super mature of both of you to accept the fate, if you will, of the situation that you found yourself in, but yet not take on the mentality of a victim and say, I'm gonna press through this. And there's something better than this. So I can't stay here. I gotta keep going so I can get to whatever that better is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great. Okay, continue. Hope you guys are enjoying this.
Yeah, I was so too. I'll just fast forward through high school. That was kind of the main thing. We really just worked and collaborated and worked as team leaders to just build a better atmosphere for that team, for the future, for like forever after us, leaving a legacy.
I love that.
Yeah.
He's talking about legacy, y'all. He's 19.
And if you actually go and look at that team right now, they're drama free. There was plenty of drama. We had a whole bunch of stuff happen that next year where the whole team that we were trying to save cast us out. Yeah, all over one person who was just like didn't need to be there. And they couldn't see that until they flipped on us at the last moment.
Wow.
So
I hear some like bullying.
I'll summarize it in like a little bit. So we had this teammate who was extremely selfish, self-centered. We had
Typical team.
but like times 10.
Okay,
Times 10. So in track, I'm not sure how knowledgeable everyone is about track. But there's relays. We ran a 4x relay, and this was something that's like prized for Woodbridge. And myself, Chris, one of our other teammates, his name was Tyler, and then we had the other teammate who was, I'm not going to mention his name, but the top of the league. Yeah, he knows who it is. And he was on it. And this was a guy, he was just like, no, I want to qualify for my individual events. I don't really care what you do.
So he took track and field to an individual level. And obviously everybody's running individually, but they're running individually for a bigger cause.
And when you're running on a relay, that's a whole different like dynamic. Like, you're all
The
the family.
person ahead of you is depending on you, right? That's what you have to pass.
You grow a lot as a relay outside of practice. Like, there's a lot of stuff there, like setting up meetings, all that type of stuff, team bonding, all that stuff.
Wow.
It's like a family. It's like literally a brother on that forward. And we had someone that was like that, and we didn't have any options because he was really the only person who could fill that role. And he wasn't slow by any means, but he was not fast enough to be doing what he was doing. Because nobody was. Really about it. And what ended up happening was he ended up quitting the team at the end of indoor after states, and he just texted this to one of our freshmen who was at nationals that very day. who looked up to him. This freshman looked up to him, and he just said that magically ruined his day.
He's the one who actually brought him into track and field.
Yes.
He wasn't going to do track. He was going to do soccer.
Wow. But you see how misery loves company?
Exactly.
That's what he did. Like, even if you were going to tell him your friends, like, okay, I should tell him, you didn't need to tell him then.
Right.
He did it.
Wow.
He told him that, and it's just, all right, fine, whatever, you're done. Like, you said you quit, and you did this in such a way.
Yeah.
Okay, you're done, but don't come back.
Yeah.
Like, do that, but don't come back. And then a couple of weeks down the line, he's like, all right, guys, I'm coming back. And the only reason he came back was because the soccer coach told him that he couldn't try out for soccer. That was his kind of alternate plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, I'm just gonna come back.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And we were leaders who were like, no, you're not. You're not coming back. And he ended up spinning a false narrative to the team about us, basically making everyone else kind of question, like, hate us and like outcast us. And I was like, bro, all right, y'all just gonna have to see. And he ended up quitting again. And then
Quitters gonna always quit.
exactly. And then,
That's the point of the story.
that's the point of the story.
Yeah.
And at our conference championship, he actually showed up.
The nerve.
Did he quit our conference?
I believe so. So he showed up, but he didn't show up in support of Woodbridge.
He showed up in support of another school in South
Exactly.
You kidding?
Because he had a girlfriend at another school, and
And we were telling
to support her.
we were telling them this the whole entire time, the whole entire team. They were like, no, like you guys are in the wrong for this. And it's like, bro,
They had to see it
they had to see
unfold
it
for themselves.
themselves.
And that happens too in life, you know. But I think that because you guys had a pure heart and you were doing it in the right way, even though the team got tainted for a little while, they were able to really see, you know, the truth. And, you know, that guy, you know, quitting, if you're going to quit in one thing, you're going to quit in everything. What you do is, you know, one time, your little secret thing is how you can handle everything. And so this is why it's so important to steward well whatever it is that we're doing, whatever it is that we're doing, and to see the honor in it and to give it the best that we got, especially when you're on a team, because you should understand that the team is dependent on each individual that comes together in order to make it happen. And so I want to draw the line from that team issues to our life issues, even in the community. So if each of us is only thinking about me, myself, and I, me, my family, and I'm not thinking about my neighbor, that's going to affect our community. So that when something does happen, then who do you turn to? Who do you go to? If the neighbors are not coming together. So this thought process is something that's important throughout our lives. So I'm grateful that you guys got this lesson early on in your lives. Tell me, what is Verj? What is Verj?
Okay, I'll start it off. So,
He's the storyteller of the partnership.
So no, I mean essentially she's the one that came to me with the idea and was built on the idea and just innovated in a way that he wasn't thinking about before. And he's the one that actually, came up with the idea.
And I love that. I mean, you guys, I think you guys do it naturally, but I'm the outside looking in, right? So I'm seeing how you honor each other. I don't know if you realize that. I don't know if you guys are seeing that, if you're witnessing that on the live, but how they honor each other. So even though they're co-founders, I call them co-founders. Chris is like, well, no, Isaiah came up with the idea first, and it was something else. When he was talking, I saw you give him a signal, like, remember to talk about me. And I'm just watching that. And I was like, this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. This friendship and this brotherhood. Okay. So, Verj, tell us about Verj.
So Verj is going to be a premier business network, and what we're trying to do with this is we're trying to connect businesses to contractors. That's the first thing. Small businesses in particular. That's going to be kind of the first step to this, or first level of this. And what it's going to do is just provide a platform for them to not only connect with one another, say like a business to a business, and just share ideas, collaborate, innovate, that type of thing. Because everything great is created. Like, no one can create anything by themselves.
Yes.
I challenge anyone to think of anything that they do today that was done completely by themselves, like without anyone else's help, anyone else's influence. Like the car that you drove, the oil was built by mechanics. Somebody drove the plans for that.
Yeah.
Somebody, there was countless people working on it. So I mean, collaboration built all these things. So we want to harness that power. So that's kind of the first level of that. We want to connect those people to individual entrepreneurs who are contractors. So say you have a graphic designer, someone who just, they have a skill or something like that, but they don't have the means to monetize it. They don't have the connections. So we want to help those people out. So say they go on our platform, they will be able to actually find and request to work from us, and we'll go and we'll find a business that is looking for someone of their expertise.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
that is so awesome.
And it'll be in an easy to navigate way. We'll have a map for this, so you will be able to click on that and you'll be able to see it for yourself.
That is amazing. Do you guys get the innovation of this? I'm like so blown away. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, and we want those individual entrepreneurs to also be able to connect with one another as well. So that's another kind of level of this. And then on top of this, we want to connect all these people to consumers and foster a more personal relationship. So say someone comes into a town and they want to shop small. I know me personally, I like eating at local restaurants that are mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
Because the food's better.
It is.
Like it's better. There's more care, right? So we'll actually be able to connect them with that through our casual business map.
Okay.
And I think that'll help the businesses as well as consumers, just a more personal relationship.
Absolutely.
So it's not so distant.
Yeah, to add on to that, I think that's what a lot of networking firms are missing, the accessibility, especially with business networking firms, the accessibility to consumers and how they can actually contribute to helping and growing the small businesses as well, not just connecting small businesses together. Because it's a two-way street, it's a two-way party,
Right.
and on each side you can grow and cultivate something that can help the other side.
Yeah.
So that's essentially.
And that's one of the things as we were talking when we met the other day that I connected with, because that's something that I started a couple of years ago in 2020 when a lot of businesses weren't doing so good because of the pandemic and everything. I was doing okay. I was doing pretty good. And so I said, well, let me help other business owners. And I had a new business that I was launching because I'm a serial entrepreneur. so I had a business that I was launching. It was like, hey, well, why don't I invite other businesses, and it was actually a friend of mine, Lori, that was like, yeah, this is a good idea, then you can launch your business and they can show their business. And I was like, okay, great, we'll do this at my house. It went over so well, and I just became so passionate about the idea to share the space with others and promoting them. I know a lot of people, and I love to be a resource and a connector to people. So I said, okay, I'm going to open my home again, and I'm going to bring in other business owners to share their businesses, and then bring in consumers. And because I'm an artist, I'm a creative, I'm a poet, I'm a writer, I said, I want to do something that's social. Something that's connecting us to. I talk a lot on my platform about wellness, about self-love, about self-care, about having a balanced life. Some people think it's not possible. I think it's possible. And I totally try to do that in everything that I do. So I teach it and I live it. And so I'm trying to, be the example for that. And so I brought in the arts, and I called up my poet family and said, hey, this is what I'm doing, come through when you can. And I started doing it every month, and it was great. So it was great for people to get together. You had the business, you had the arts, you had the social, the consumers and the businesses were there, and it became a support system for other businesses. And then somebody would call me and say, hey, I need this, do you know anybody? And I'm sending it together. And that's how it was. So took a break last year, and I'm just trying to revamp, because once everything started to open up more, people wanted to be outside more and go to different places. And since I was doing it at my home, I couldn't really put my address everywhere, right? So it was by invitation only. So now that I'm using the Clearbrook Center for the Arts in Lake Ridge, that is a public place that I can use. So I'm starting back again. Sunday, August 28th, I'm having an all-white jazz brunch. All-white jazz brunch, I'll get your tickets. Because this is what it's about, and this is why I have to share with them. It's about, and particularly Black businesses. And why Black businesses? Because so many other cultures and every other ethnic group supports their own. Their dollar stays in their community way longer than it does. I think ours is like 3 hours.
Wow.
3 hours.
I didn't know that.
That's horrible.
I didn't know that.
So by the time you go to the check cashing place or to the bank and you don't cash your check, count 3 hours, money gone, and nothing in our community. So that's what this is about. Of course, I'm an African American woman. I want to support my home. It doesn't mean that I have friends from everywhere. It doesn't mean that I don't like, love, or support any other businesses. But the purpose of this and the passion is to be able to help other people that look like me, men and women, minorities. Why? Because we don't have the upper hand. Because a lot of times we're coming last. We're getting the information last. We're getting whatever it is last. Or by the time, everyone's got there. So that's what this is about, in bringing these minority businesses together and giving them a platform so that they can sell their products, consumers can buy products, and we can all collaborate. And the purpose is to empower, educate, enlighten, and support one another. We need this encouragement. Being an entrepreneur is not easy, which I'm sure you guys see already. It's not so easy to be an entrepreneur. It's late nights, it's long days, it's missing family things sometimes, or things that you love to do because you're raising this baby, and the business is baby. In its infant stages, you have to care for it so much more than once it becomes a toddler and adolescent and so forth. And so that's the purpose of the Black Business Networking Social, is to provide this safe environment, safe as in physically safe, but safe as in being a place that you can come to, that you can feel free to share, that you can collaborate and encourage one another. And I don't have to worry about you taking my idea or my things, and you're not going to worry about me doing it. So it's safe in that way as well. And then we gotta have a balanced life, so we don't have some entertainment. And so that's this is all about. So I have a saxophone player. It's going to be like open mic style. It's going to be real bougie and classy. So dress up and you're all white. I'm so excited about that. We got some really bougie finger foods and stuff, and businesses there to showcase them and get them into the community and meeting other people. So it's a resource of information. So what I do and how I'm doing it can still collaborate and support what you guys do.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see that as, oh, they need a networking thing too. Let me not talk to them. I'm like, no, let's collaborate. We have the same, ideas, but you're doing it differently. So how you do it doesn't take away from me, right?
Yeah.
How I do it doesn't take away from you. We can actually support and encourage one another, and that's what I want.
And that's iron sharpens iron.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That was
Iron sharpens iron.
we were just talking about this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I think because we met you actually, and how you're kind of doing the same thing that we're doing, but we want it not to be a competition. We want it to be on a level to where we're working together, like you said. Because for one, we're in our baby stages, like you said. So we have no type of influence to even do any of that stuff. So it's like, okay, why don't we help each other?
Yeah.
And at this rate, it's like both sides, both parties are going together.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you want to do with your company, but what we want to do is to take this thing like globally. So what can happen at that stage is like, okay, well, you can find another networking firm that is maybe innovative in a certain way that you want, and maybe they can help you, in that specific area and do it that way.
I think that's great. I definitely can see that, global. And I have someone else that I need to connect you guys with. I thought about too. And, I love being that connector, that bringing people together and being resourceful, because there's enough for all of us. So this crab in a barrel mentality has got to stop.
Right.
There's how many 3 billion, how many people billion on the planet? There's enough, okay? There's enough that we can all eat. So I don't need to feel like I have to hoard things because they're in a similar, business. No, we can partner. We can help one another. Because here's the thing. The people that are for you are for me. You could never reach them. And there's people that are for you, and that's no sleight of hand. Each one of us is built to reach certain people. There's some attributes about you, the way that you speak, that's going to reach out other people that I could never reach them. Right. No matter my brilliance, whatever, I could never reach them. They're not my people. And so we all need to do this and bring to the table where we come from and what we're about, our heart and our passion, because that's how we attract people. And so there's enough people for everybody. And even though we have niched ourselves into Black businesses or minority businesses, there's still enough for everybody. Because one thing we're not is a minority. they call us the minority, but
Yeah.
we're really the majority. So don't want to start no controversies here. Now, this is a love show. We're here loving each other. And so I love you guys' relationship. I definitely noticed that. And one of the things that I put in the description was, how life throws you curveballs or gives you lemons, but you guys have truly made lemonade. You truly have found a way to use all of the adversity, all of the setbacks, all of the hardships to make your life better. And you're only 19 and 21. I am so excited for you and for where you're gonna go. For the honor and the relationship that you all have developed thus far, and you guys are gonna go so far with that. Can you give us a time check? Because I can't see the clock.
9:41.
Wow. Okay, so we're doing good. We have about 20 minutes. Can you see if there's? I don't see any questions. Yeah. You see any questions?
No, I get
Okay.
a few hellos.
Just a hello.
Hellos.
Okay. So, what else can you share about Verj? Or what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're endeavoring to do. I know that you guys have some hobbies. We're doing pretty good on time, even though we've been conversating, so I'm glad. So you can just kind of, talk and we can just have a conversation here.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish like a little like the last part of hers because this is even more. Yeah, yeah. So along the casual side of things, just for the everyday person, we want to also be able to make a platform for those people to share like-minded interests. And so think of something where someone makes a group where it's a like-minded interest, and it's more that's going to be more of that planning type of thing, where we take all these people and set up an event for them, like, hey, you all like this,
like a public event.
Yeah, like a poet or an art event, or anything like that, like anything at all. So I want to really make sure that everyone knows this is for everybody. The only way it's not for you is if you don't want it to be. Right. And that was kind of our motive thought this entire time. Like, okay, how can we make this on a grander scale that literally everyone can benefit from? Because we want this to be the epitome of like helping, because that was such a big part of our lives and our experiences from high school, which is helping and like the lack of help. Yeah, we receive for no. Yeah,
So giving and helping, but like not receiving that same amount of help. So that's why we want to create something that will be beneficial to help in a way that, hey, I can help this person, but I'm also getting help at the same time.
That's good, reciprocity, that's good, that's important, and we don't always have that.
Yeah, and then the last part of it is going to be focusing on young entrepreneurs, people who might just have an idea in their head. It might not even be a young entrepreneur, it could really be anybody, but someone who wants to build business skills, they don't know how to start, they don't know where to start. They haven't had anyone tell them anything, because a lot of time, information is hidden. It's hidden behind like a pretty hefty paywall for the most part. And that's not something that I agree with. It's like, all right, if you have this information, why don't you share it? There's no reason to be, greedy about it.
Yeah.
What happens is they'll share some of the information, and they won't share the most important part. So it's enough to make you think, oh, that makes sense. I got it now. No, you don't.
How do you use it?
No, you don't. Yeah. How do I implement this? What do I do? Like, there needs to be something where it's, what do I do? How do I do it? There's none of this, you might be kind of, no.
Yeah.
What do you do and how do you do it?
Especially in the realm of like young entrepreneurs.
Especially, because, it's inexperienced people.
Yeah.
Taking on business at a young age is like, you can't even conceptualize it. The first time, like, I even thought about this, June 21st.
Oh, wow.
My
of this year?
Yes.
Oh my God, this is like the press.
Like, my head was hurting. Like, physically hurting. Like a long time. It was like, all right, what do I do? I ended up sharing it with him like instantly. As soon as I wrote it down, I was like, all right, I just want to know. Because it was like literally bursting out of my head.
Well,
And,
you know what that was? This is what I see. That was Deuteronomy 8:18 in action.
Yeah, I read it.
God says He gives you the power to get wealth. So there it is. On June 21st, He downloaded this mega idea on you that it was almost head exploding. And you're like, okay, I gotta share.
Oh yeah, let me actually touch on that a little bit more, because before this, I had no direction.
Really?
Like none. Well, not, I'm not gonna say no direction, but I was trying to figure out like what is my thing? Like what am I gonna leave behind on this earth? Like what can I do? Like what can I provide that nobody else can provide? And how can I do this in a way that nobody else can do?
That's an amazing thought. Like that's a ginormous thought to sit down and actually ponder that.
Yeah.
What can I do that's going to be helpful and beneficial to others that no one else had thought of? So that gave me a headache too.
And I was just doing a whole bunch. I think I told you a little bit before. I was doing a whole bunch of just random stuff. But I was like, all right, I need to figure this out. I need to figure this out like fast.
Yeah,
Because it was
tell me that
boring.
story because that was really good. And I think that can help some people.
So I was literally going around I was taking classes on a certain app. I'm going to give
Okay.
But I was taking a lot of self-improvement type of things. There was like a habit building course,
Okay.
that type of thing. And on top of that, there was like a web designing course. I started cooking. I started doing a whole bunch of other stuff, like really getting into like music theory, all that stuff, but just random stuff. It was very, like, from the outside looking in, it was like, all right, what are you doing? Like, you have no focus. And it's true, I have no focus.
He told me all these things. He was like, yeah, I'm doing this, and this. And I was like, at the time, like before like any of the Verj stuff, I was just solely focused on like investing in like trading. Like that was me, that's what I was doing. So this gave me a broader sense of purpose. Like creating Verj together gave me a way broader sense of purpose on what I was actually here to do. But I mean he told me so many things. I was like, dude, because I was literally one focusing on this one thing. I was like, dude, you pick one, and he was like, I can't pick one. I was like, well, you're gonna have to figure it out because it's way too much.
That's literally how it went. I was like, all right, like, he might be right now. Like, I can't do it. Like, I couldn't physically do it.
You were in the process.
Yeah, it's like touching on what he just said just a little bit more. I don't want to go too far in a tangent, but I think it's actually cool. So, his whole entire story has been like a huge inspiration for me myself. It's been like, all right, I can't quit because he didn't quit. Like even back in high school, I look back at that, I'm like, all right, he didn't quit, so I can't quit.
That's so good.
And so even when I've been close, like even over the past 2 years, I've had terrible mental hits just from like, lack of direction, like really a lot of stuff, a lot of experiences that I had to have over these last couple of years. And in those moments, it was just something that we'd always do. We would be sending like Japan flags back and forth because we have a dream of going to Japan one day. We made this like years ago. We were like, bro, let's do it to Japan. And it started like that, and then we just kept sending it back and forth as emotions, and we kept doing that. And it was just like that was always an inspiration, like a driving force. Like, I can't stop. I don't know how I'm gonna make this happen, but I'm gonna make it happen.
Okay.
And so when this finally happened, he had given me the inspiration, like the drive, and I had kind of expanded on that for him. So that's kind of another part of the dynamic as well.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like a crazy, like weird thing, like how that happened. But it happened. I'm glad it happened.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. So, tell me a little bit about your investing. I'm into investing too, and whatever you can.
Yeah, sure. What do you?
I'm in a hedge fund.
Gotcha. So it's a very touchy subject that a lot of people think it's touchy because they just don't have the information. They don't really know and have the awareness of what's going on. Like I couldn't walk up to somebody and like start a conversation about investing and have it be the same conversation as it's like, oh, how was like do you play basketball? They just don't have that same level of knowledge with it to even like communicate and have a conversation. So, I mean, what I do, what I've been doing actually, I've been telling a lot of my friends about what I've been doing, which I'm going to get into. But yeah, I think that's just to go on a little tangent. It's very important that everybody just kind of has a foundation of what that actually is and where to go to do it. And there are many places that you can go. If you don't know anybody that does it, there are a lot of, websites that have a lot of good information. I can maybe put it down in the description somewhere.
Okay.
Definitely do that. But yeah, back to the point. I usually invest in commodities, so like gold, silver, copper, or foreign exchange market. Usually, because it's more liquid, and because of what I do, it's a little bit more predictable.
Okay.
Now, obviously, everything is a risk,
Of course. Yeah.
and that's another issue that people kind of have with it, I think, and why they don't want to learn. They feel like it's a lack of security,
Yeah.
and they can just get that security from their job.
Mhm.
But if you
But
allocate
that's not
it,
even true anymore. And
Right, that's not.
this the other day. There's people losing money in their 401k. One of my friends, she said
Oh yeah, it's
her
done.
husband lost $22,000 just this year.
yeah,
$22,000 in 1 year in his 401k.
Yeah, 401ks, they are not good for us anymore. We cannot rely on those.
No,
They're gonna lose all of them.
and we can't rely on anything anymore. Our world is just so different, so volatile, ever changing, that even things that used to be somewhat predictable are not predictable.
Exactly.
Like Bitcoin fell, it went back up, but it fell. So that's one reason to have diversified income and diversified, investment. So for someone to say, well, I have a job and I'm waiting to retire, like that is so risky. How do you not see that as a risk?
because, well, the thing is, due to inflation and the way that that's working right now, if I took $10 million, right, and I just put it in the bank somewhere,
Mhm.
in 5-10 years, it's not going to be worth the same amount.
But it shows you the same
It
amount.
shows you the same amount in the bank, but it's not.
It's gonna be less.
Exactly. The actual value in terms of it being like a financial product, is way less.
Mhm.
And people just don't see it because it's on the screen and they don't really know about that. So that's how they're playing off of ignorance.
But they're making money using your money to
Exactly.
You guys are worried about risk. They're risking your money and everything all of the time.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, I mean, a really big market right now that I would say to invest in, definitely the crypto market, because of the way it fell and because of the future of what crypto actually is. If you don't know what crypto is, it's a decentralized way to buy and sell product. So,
And it's
great.
digital. It's all digital.
It's all digital, correct. It's all digital. So what decentralized means is essentially that the banks have no control of what's going on. So I can buy crypto from him, just directly from him. So it wouldn't go through a bank, it wouldn't go through any type of transaction like that. I was going through a blockchain, which they call it. It's a decentralized bank. But it's only just for us to exchange that money.
Yeah.
But they're not using it, like the blockchain isn't using it, like taking some of it and investing it, doing whatever it does, and maybe like losing some of it. You'll never know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just a measurement of exchange from one
And
party
it's
to the
the
other.
future. It's not going anywhere.
No,
Whether I was hearing like McDonald's is allowing you to buy things with your
NFTs. Good data. NFTs for McDonald's. They make blockchains.
I didn't.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
it's ever growing. It's ever changing.
yeah,
It's definitely is a lot to know.
yeah.
It'll never go away just because of how people are losing faith in banks.
Yeah.
That's I think it's people are starting to wake up to like, all right, we're losing money just putting it in here, and they're gaining money off of our lost money.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I'm doing, I got an email from my bank the other day, and it's like, congratulations, you've gotten like this dividend or this interest, and it was like 32 cents.
Yeah. So you know what that is?
You wasted time with me.
That's like a stock thing. That's like a stock thing.
So, but now with the digital hedge funds that I'm part of, I'm making 2 to 4% a week.
Yeah.
Now I know there's day trading, people talk about that and you're making more, but that's extremely risky.
No, I mean-
It's extremely volatile.
Yeah.
So this is safer or less risky doing it this way, but it's guaranteed. This is a secure company. The founders of the company look like us. They've been in the industry for 30 years, so they're not new to any of this stuff.
Right.
They've taken all the best of of the various things that they've been through from different companies and put it together and make their own company. And they've been very secure for the last 2+ years. And so I just started doing it in April, and I'm already seeing the yield. And so I'm grateful, for that. So if you guys have any questions in regards to investment opportunities and things like that, you can feel free to put your comment there. If you don't want to do that, you can DM me. You can also follow Isaiah Lucky and Chris Linton and follow them, and you can reach out to us and ask questions as well. So we are up to our time. I just want you guys to kind of wrap it up. I'll give you both an opportunity. What is some lasting information or impression or something that you would want our viewers to know? They're just meeting you for the first time. I'm sure they're thinking you wonderful like I do. But what is something that you want to give them as a lasting impression?
I would say that you never, no matter what your age is, like I'm 21, I could be younger than you, I could be older than you, I could be the same age as you, it doesn't matter. All the lessons are the same. I just got a lesson that might be a little bit like at an earlier age than you did. That doesn't matter. The point is, you never want to sell yourself short to anything, and that's what I've learned over the last couple of years. Just exiting high school and going into college and having that ability to be like catered to in high school to now having none of that at all and figuring out all these things alone and having to go through all these lessons, especially being like an entrepreneur. You just never want to sell yourself short. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can be at your job. Maybe you just don't feel like doing something one day. Just do it. Just do it because you never know what could end up happening. You never lose.
So you're saying don't let fear hinder you.
Do not let fear hinder you. Correct.
I'm just gonna go a little bit, broader than that. I'm just gonna say everything is a mindset. What you put your mind to is what you're going to achieve. Don't sell the possibility of impossibility short.
Say that again.
Don't sell the possibility of impossibility short.
I love that. And again, I'm going to scripture because I'm a woman of faith.
Yeah, me too.
And it's right.
Yeah.
There's nothing impossible through Christ. He has caused us through Jesus. He has caused us to be world overcomers. He has caused us to be more than conquerors. And so he's already placed everything in us, all the gifts, talents, abilities, everything that we need to do to be successful in this life, whatever success means to us. Because if I were to ask us, well, what does success mean to you? It might mean different things to the three of us, slightly. And so whatever that means for us, and whatever the gift, talent, ability, or purpose God has put on us, he's equipped us to fulfill that purpose. So we just have to get in line with him, in line with what the purpose is, and then we can begin to live life with passion in that direction. So it starts with looking at, well, what do you have in your hands? What is it that you do? What is it that comes easy to you? What is it that comes natural to you? What is it that you love to do that you can do for no money, or that keeps you up at night, that you're thinking about it all day? You can't even get a good night's sleep because this thing is on your mind. What is that thing or those things? And begin to write them down, and that is beginning the path to finding out what your purpose is.
I was going to say, if you don't know some of those answers to the questions that she just gave you, that means you need to sit on it. You're not just going to write a question down and then come up with an answer. Like, we were thinking about the logo for Verj, and that didn't happen after we were like, hey, what is the logo for Verj, Isaiah? He's like, oh, what's this? Like, that doesn't happen. It takes time, it takes patience to actually come up with those answers, and then you take action on those answers.
Yeah, that's good. Something came up to me just a moment ago as you were talking, and discipline. Because I see that in both of in your bio, in your story, discipline, even just being on your track team and looking to be the best that you can, and then even taking that step further from not just being your personal best, but how can we make this track team better and leave a legacy for the future, track team. So discipline had to play a part in that. So just talk to me briefly about that.
I'll let you go first. So, as a man of faith,
Yes, sir.
that is the hardest discipline, everyone can decide what that means to them, but everyone's going to hold themselves to a different standard. Like, you need a set thing that's going to tell you this is wrong, this is right, adhere to this. If you don't, there are consequences. That's all it is. So, you read that, understand it, you read the Bible, I read the Bible, and I look at that, and I'm just like, all right, if I'm thinking that I'm, unsure of something, I'm praying about it, and now I look at my Bible, and now, okay, if I see it in there, well, whatever it is, if it's interfering with that, or if it's in contradiction with that, well, guess what, you gotta go. You just have to go. It's that simple.
Did you want to add anything?
That was perfect.
It really was perfect. So we are to allow the Word of God to be our final authority in our life,
Yes.
right? In our decisions, in our planning, in all of those things. So I'm excited. This has been so much fun. Thank you guys so much for what you're doing, for being so articulate, for being willing to share. Thank you, Verj Williams, for the space, for this time. Thank you. Just thank you. And thank you guys. Thank you viewers for watching. Thank you viewers for watching. It has been so much fun. So look for me next Wednesday at 5 p.m. I will be interviewing. Oh, I didn't show you guys my book. So this is the journal, and this is the book. I'm a co-author. I am one of 36 women who put their minds together, who put the insights and wisdom that God has given to us through various issues, trials, and so on of life together in a book for you to encourage and empower and enlighten you. And so the book is available. You can go to my website, dawnhorizonsbookstore.com, dawnhorizonsbookstore.com. You have the book, it's $20. The journal is $25. It's affirmations in here. It's a place for your prayers. It's a place that you can write down and take note. If you've shared wisdom, if you've encouraged someone for the day, it's a place where you can take note of that. And I think that part is really good because sometimes you feel like you're not doing everything that you're supposed to or that you wanted to, or who have you affected. And so there's a place for you to write that down there as well as your weekly goals. So you can get the bundle, the two of them together, which would normally be $45 for $39.95, and that is on my website, dawnhorizonsbookstore.com. I left this little notebook here. I have this to tell you about. This is a journal, and I am trying to help out one of my poet friends, poet family. Her name is Miss Cayenne, and it's a 501c3. It's called, what is it called? Healing in the Pen? I think it's called Healing in the Pen. And so one of the things that she's doing is working with creative students, and she's teaching writing techniques, and she's teaching poetry, and she's helping people to channel whatever it is that they're going through with life in writing, through writing. And this is children that she's working with. And so her goal is a ginormous goal. She wants to give out 1 million journals. Oh, that was bold. So I was like, okay, so I want to help her. So this is just one journal that I'm going to share. But I want to encourage you, if this is something that touches your heart, you want to reach out to young people, and you want to be a part of that 1 million journal plan, I'm going to have a drop box at the health fair I have this weekend, Saturday, August 20th. At the Clearbrook Center for the Arts. It is a free community public health fair. You can bring your journals and you can drop it there in the box. There's also going to be a box at the next event, which is Sunday, August 28th. That's the all white jazz brunch. I hope that you guys are able to come to that. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that journal idea is perfect. I remember for Christmas, I gave my niece her first journal. And at that time, she just realized her and her husband had conceived. She was pregnant, and she thanked me profusely during that whole process because she wrote in that the entire time during the pregnancy.
That's beautiful. So
it's an important piece of
yes, it really can. Write down the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in it. Write down your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. It is very important, and I love that she's doing this and she's teaching this to the young people because writing is one of the things that I teach my community, and part of your self-care and part of letting go of things and processing through trauma. One of the ways that we can do that is by journaling, is by writing things out, getting it off your chest, getting it out of your mind and putting it down onto paper. So I encourage you to do that. I shouted out the 2 events. Saturday, August 20th is a community health and wellness fair. The purpose of this is to let people know more about alternative health. So it's not your traditional health fair. It is more along the lines to educate you and empower you about techniques that are available, things that are available in the earth that are medicine to your body. So that's the purpose of that. And that's free to the community. And then Sunday, August 28th is the following Sunday. You get dressed in your all white, and it's after church. So I moved the time back to 3 p.m. Hopefully people can come and hang out with us, and we're gonna have a great time. So if you're not shy and you want to get on the mic and share your talents, it is an open mic. You'll be able to do that. If you are a poet in the DMV area or an artist, we would love to have you. Reach out to me, and I'll let you know how you can get connected. So thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Herb. I'm just grateful to be here, and thank you for all of you that are watching. And if you got to the end of the video and you're watching it on a replay, do me a favor and do a hashtag replay. That way I know that you saw it on a replay. So thank you so much for joining us here tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Wellness Wisdom Wednesday. Bye for now.
Thank you all for watching.